My sister-in-law let me take the fall when the alarms went off at Target because she was shoplifting. Her fiancé was the first to see her humiliating security footage I posted online. I was walking out of Target with my sister-in-law Diane when the security detector started screaming. The guard immediately stepped forward. "Ma'am, I need to check your receipt." I handed him my receipt and shopping bags. 2 sweaters for my daughter. Shampoo. Nothing that should trigger anything. Meanwhile, Diane stood behind me holding 3 shopping bags. The guard went through my items one by one. "These match your receipt, but something triggered the alarm. Please step back through." I walked back in. No beep. Walked toward the exit. The detector screamed again. Diane laughed. "Maybe you're just magnetic today, Melissa." The guard looked concerned. "Ma'am, I need you to check your pockets. Your purse." I emptied everything. Wallet, keys, phone, gum. Nothing with tags, nothing from the store. The guard called his manager over. A woman in a red vest approached. "We need to check your purse lining. Sometimes tags fall inside." I handed her my purse. She felt around the lining and pulled out a jewelry tag. From the fine jewelry counter. "Diamond earrings, $800. That's not mine." I didn't go near the jewelry counter. The manager's face hardened. "These were reported missing an hour ago." Diane stepped forward. "Oh my God, Melissa. Is this about money? If you needed help, you should have asked." "I didn't take anything. That tag isn't mine. Someone put it there." The manager held up the tag. "Ma'am, this is serious. We need to go to the security office." Diane touched my arm. "I'll wait here. Call Jason. Tell him what's happening." In the security office, they played the footage. It showed me shopping, picking up sweaters, getting shampoo, never going near jewelry. Then it showed me at checkout with Diane. The footage got fuzzy right as I was paying. The manager frowned. "That's weird. Camera malfunction right at your register. But the tag was in your purse." "Look," I said. "Can you check when those earrings went missing? Who was near that counter?" She typed something. "They were last seen 40 minutes ago. Customer asked to see them. We can't find that footage either." Another malfunction. "What about my sister-in-law? Did cameras catch her?" The manager checked. "Your companion was in jewelry 40 minutes ago. Asked to see several items. But she didn't purchase anything. Of course she was there. She loves looking at jewelry she can't afford." The manager kept watching footage. "Wait, here's something. Your sister-in-law approached you at checkout. Stood very close. Put her hand on your purse while you were paying. Right when our camera malfunctioned. I felt sick. Can you search her bags? She's probably gone by now." The manager called the floor. The guard's voice came over the radio. "The woman who was with her? She left immediately after we took Melissa to the office. Said she had to get her kids, but she left her bags." "What?" The guard brought in Diane's 3 shopping bags. The manager looked through them. "These items aren't on any receipts from today. This merchandise was never purchased. There were 2 sweaters identical to mine but different sizes. The shampoo I'd bought but the salon brand. A jacket with the sensor still attached. And at the bottom, wrapped in tissue, the diamond earrings. $800. She used my shopping trip as cover. Selected the same items I was buying so bags would look identical if checked. Then planted the tag on me." The manager's face changed. "This is organized retail theft. She's done this before. Same pattern. Shops with a family member, creates camera blind spots, plants evidence on them, lets them take the fall while she walks out with merchandise." I thought about the past months. Diane suggesting shopping trips, always wanting to go to nice stores, always standing close at checkout, always leaving right when we exit. How many times had I almost been caught? Your sister-in-law has been using you, setting you up as the decoy while she steals. If you hadn't insisted we check everything, you'd be arrested right now. She'd be home with $800 earrings. I called Jason. His phone rang and rang. Finally, he answered. "Hey, babe, Diane just got here. Said you had some trouble at Target? She's crying. Says you tried to frame her for shoplifting. That you've been jealous ever since she got engaged to someone successful." "Put her on speaker," I said. "Jason," Diane's voice came through. "I'm so sorry this happened. I had no idea Melissa was stealing. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. She's lying. Check her car, check her purse. The manager has everything on camera." "Melissa," Diane said, "I know things have been hard since Jason's business struggled, but stealing isn't the answer. And trying to blame family? That's sick." She hung up. I paid for every single item Diane tried to steal, all $1,500 worth. And the manager handed me a USB with the security footage showing everything. That night, I uploaded the video to Facebook with a simple caption, "PSA, this is why my sister-in-law Diane can't shop at Target anymore." 20 minutes later, my phone exploded with calls from Jason, but by then, the video already had 10,000 views and Diane's fiancé had commented with just 3 words, "Wedding is off." Within minutes, shares started multiplying. I refreshed the page and watched the number climb from 50 to 300. Braden posted the video to his own page an hour later with a caption that made my stomach flip. "This is who I almost married." Comments flooded in under his post. His mom wrote that she always thought something seemed wrong. His best friend said he dodged a bullet. His coworkers expressed shock. People tagged other people. The shares kept going up. My phone rang. Jason's number flashed on the screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. His voice came through shaky. Melissa, what happened? I need you to tell me everything because I'm seeing Braden's post and my cousin just called me and Mom is losing her mind. I could hear him breathing hard like he'd been running. Diane told me one story, but now everyone's sending me this video and I don't understand. I drove home with the USB drive sitting in my passenger seat. The 20-minute drive felt like 2 hours. Jason was standing in the driveway when I pulled in. His face looked pale under the porch light. I walked past him into the house and went straight to the kitchen. He followed me without saying anything. I plugged the USB into my laptop and opened the video file. The security footage filled the screen. We sat at the kitchen table and I pressed play. The footage showed everything. Diane in the jewelry section asking to see the diamond earrings. The employee taking them out of the case. Diane holding them up to the light. Then the employee getting called away for a minute. Diane's hand moving fast as she wrapped the earrings in tissue and slipped them into her purse. Later footage showed her walking through the store, picking out items identical to what I was buying. The checkout scene where she stood so close to me her shoulder touched mine. Her hand reaching toward my purse while I was distracted signing the payment screen. The tag falling into my bag in one smooth motion. Jason watched the whole thing without moving. When it ended, he asked me to play it again. We watched it 2 more times. His hands were flat on the table and I could see them shaking. She set you up. His voice came out quiet. She planned this whole thing. She used you as a decoy and she was going to let you get arrested. I nodded. The manager said she's done this before. Same pattern every time. Jason put his head in his hands. I watched his shoulders start shaking. Then he was crying. Actually crying with tears running down his face. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you right away. When Diane called me, I should have known she was lying. I always do this. I always make excuses for her. He wiped his eyes with his palms. Our parents always loved me more. They paid for my college and made her take out loans. They helped me start my business but told her she needed to figure it out herself. I felt guilty about it our whole lives, so I just kept covering for her. Making excuses, pretending she wasn't doing bad things. The house was quiet except for his crying. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat there. Pounding on the front door made us both jump. It was past midnight. The pounding came again, harder this time. Then Diane's voice screaming from outside. Open the door. You ruined my life. Braden left me. Everyone thinks I'm a criminal. This is all your fault. Jason stood up and walked to the front door but didn't open it. Diane, you need to leave. His voice was steady even though I could see his hands still shaking. Go home. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police. More pounding. You're my brother. How can you do this to me? That video is a lie. She's the one who stole and now she's trying to frame me. Jason pulled out his phone. I'm calling them right now if you don't get off our porch. The pounding stopped. I heard footsteps going down the porch stairs. A car door slammed. Tires squealed as she drove away. The next morning, Jason's mom called before 7. I was still in bed when I heard Jason answer in the kitchen. His voice carried through the house. No, Mom, we're not taking it down. Because Diane committed actual crimes. She stole over $1,500 worth of stuff and tried to frame Melissa for it. The video shows exactly what happened. His voice got louder. I don't care if it's embarrassing the family. Diane should have thought about that before she decided to be a thief. I got up and went to the kitchen. Jason was pacing back and forth with the phone pressed to his ear. His mom's voice was loud enough that I could hear her from across the room even though I couldn't make out the words. She's humiliating us. Everyone we know has seen that video. Your father's business partners are asking questions. Our friends from church are calling. You need to make Melissa delete it right now. Jason looked at me and put the phone on speaker. Mom, Melissa's right here. Tell her yourself why she should delete evidence of crimes that were committed against her. His mom's voice came through sharp. Melissa, I know you're upset, but this is family business. We handle these things privately. Taking it public like this is vindictive and cruel. Diane made a mistake and she's sorry. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive her and move past this? I leaned toward the phone. Diane tried to have me arrested for something she did. She planted evidence on me. She lied to Jason and tried to destroy my reputation. And according to Target's manager, she's done this before to other people. This isn't a mistake. This is a pattern. I have every right to share evidence of what really happened. You're being selfish. Think about the family. Think about your nieces and nephews who have to see their aunt called a thief online. Diane thought about herself when she decided to use me as a decoy for her shoplifting. She can face the consequences now. Jason ended the call. His phone rang again immediately, but he silenced it. My phone rang an hour later. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. A woman's voice asked if I was Melissa. I said yes. She identified herself as corporate security for Target. She asked if I could come in for an interview about the incident with Diane. I told her I could come that afternoon. The corporate office was 30 minutes away in a building that didn't look anything like a Target store. The security investigator met me in the lobby. She was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, wearing a blazer and carrying a tablet. She led me to a small conference room and closed the door. Thank you for coming in. After your video went viral in our area, we've had 3 other women contact us with similar stories about Diane using them as shoplifting decoys. 3 other women? The investigator nodded. Same pattern every time. She goes shopping with a friend or family member, selects identical items to what they're buying, creates distractions during checkout, plants evidence on them if alarms go off, then leaves quickly while they deal with security. She turned her tablet toward me. The screen showed security footage from a different Target store. Different layout, different timestamp. But there was Diane. Same technique. Standing close to another woman at checkout, hand moving toward the woman's bag. The footage was dated 8 months ago. The investigator swiped to another video. Different store, different victim. Diane again. This one was from a year ago. Then another clip from a different location. And another. 4 stores total over 2 years. She's been doing this systematically. Always a different location so no one store would flag her as a repeat offender. Always with someone different so the victims wouldn't compare notes. Always the same method. The investigator closed her tablet. We estimate she's stolen over $12,000 worth of merchandise using this technique. I felt sick. How many times had I gone shopping with her and almost gotten caught? How many other people had she used? The investigator handed me a business card. We're compiling everything to give to the district attorney. The other victims have agreed to meet with you if you're interested. They want to compare experiences and figure out if there are others who haven't come forward yet. 2 days later, I sat in a coffee shop waiting for the other victims to arrive. The first woman who walked in looked nervous. She was maybe 40, wearing scrubs like she'd just come from a hospital shift. She spotted me and walked over. Melissa? I'm Kelly. She introduced herself and sat down. The other women arrived one by one. A teacher named Michelle who looked exhausted. A college student named Andrea who kept checking her phone. Jason's cousin arrived last. She hugged me and apologized for not speaking up sooner. We compared stories for 2 hours. Every single one matched the same pattern. Diane suggested shopping together. She stayed close at checkout. She created confusion when alarms went off. She left immediately while we dealt with security. Michelle had been accused of stealing cosmetics worth $600. Andrea almost got arrested for taking designer purses. Jason's cousin told her story about the makeup incident at Christmas. The family made her feel crazy for suggesting Diane set her up. We realized Diane had been doing this for years, targeting people who trusted her, using their confusion and embarrassment against them. The corporate investigator joined us after an hour. She had more footage to show. Different stores, different dates, same technique every time. She estimated Diane stole over $12,000 worth of stuff across all the locations. They were putting together a case for the district attorney. Everything documented, every victim willing to testify, every piece of stolen merchandise tracked. The investigator thanked us for coming forward and said the DA would contact us soon about formal statements. I got home and found Jason sitting at the kitchen table staring at his phone. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was Braden. He asked if we could talk. I called him back immediately. His voice sounded tired and angry. He thanked me for posting the video. He said he kept thinking about all the red flags he ignored. Diane told him her expensive jewelry came from him as gifts, but he never bought her most of those pieces. Now he realized she probably stole everything. The diamond bracelet she wore constantly, the designer earrings, the gold necklace she claimed was from her grandmother. All stolen. He felt sick thinking about how close he came to marrying someone capable of this. He asked if I knew she was lying about other things too. I told him about the other victims we met, the pattern going back years. He went quiet for a long time. Then he said he needed his grandmother's engagement ring back. It was a family heirloom worth $8,000. He gave it to Diane when he proposed. Now he wondered if she'd already sold it or pawned it. He was going to her apartment that night to get it back. He asked if Jason and I would come as witnesses in case she tried to claim he was harassing her. We agreed to meet him there in an hour. Jason and I drove to Diane's apartment complex. Braden was already waiting in the parking lot. He looked different from at family dinners. Less polished. More angry. We walked up to her door together. Braden knocked. No answer. He knocked again, harder. Diane's voice came through the door asking who it was. Braden told her to open up. She cracked the door with the chain still on. Her eyes went wide when she saw all 3 of us. Braden told her he wanted his grandmother's ring back right now. Diane started crying immediately. She said she didn't have it anymore. She claimed it got stolen from her car 2 weeks ago. Braden pushed the door. The chain held. He told her she had 10 seconds to get the ring or he was calling the police. She disappeared into the apartment. We heard drawers opening and closing. She came back 5 minutes later and pushed the ring through the gap in the door. Braden examined it carefully. He nodded and put it in his pocket. Then he told Diane she should get a good lawyer because the district attorney was building a case against her. She tried to close the door, but Jason spoke up for the first time. He told his sister she needed help. Real help. Not just apologies and excuses like always. Diane screamed at him through the gap. She called me names. She said I destroyed her life out of jealousy. She said the family would never forgive him for choosing me over her. Jason stayed calm. He told her the family spent 30 years covering for her mistakes and it needed to stop. She slammed the door. We heard her sobbing inside. Jason drove home in silence. I watched him grip the steering wheel tight. Finally, he started talking. He told me about growing up with Diane. Their parents always made excuses for her. When she got caught cheating on tests in high school, they blamed the teachers for making tests too hard. When she got fired from 3 jobs in college, they blamed difficult bosses. When she maxed out their dad's credit card, they blamed society for making young people feel pressured to keep up appearances. Every single time Diane messed up, someone else got blamed. Jason admitted he learned to do the same thing. Protect Diane, make excuses, smooth things over. He felt guilty about being the successful one, the one with the stable marriage and the good business. He thought helping Diane was his responsibility as the older brother. But watching her try to frame me changed something. He realized enabling her wasn't helping. It was making everything worse. He said he should have believed me immediately at Target. He should have checked the evidence before defending his sister. He apologized for choosing family loyalty over trust in his wife. I told him we'd figure it out together. That night we stayed up late talking about his family's patterns, how they taught him that protecting Diane mattered more than truth, how that almost cost him his marriage. 3 days later, a police detective called my phone. She introduced herself and asked if I could come to the station for a formal statement about Diane's theft. I drove there the next morning. The detective was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with short dark hair and sharp eyes. She led me to a small interview room with a recording device on the table. She explained they were building a case for organized retail theft. Multiple victims, clear video evidence, a pattern of behavior spanning years. She asked me to walk through everything that happened at Target. Every detail I remembered. I told her about Diane suggesting we go shopping together, standing close at checkout, her hand moving toward my purse, the tag planted in my bag. The detective took notes and asked follow-up questions. How many times had Diane suggested shopping trips? Did she always pick expensive stores? Did she ever mention money problems? I answered everything I could remember. The detective told me the other victims gave similar statements. Same technique every time. She said with multiple victims and clear video evidence, they had a strong case. The district attorney was reviewing everything now. She expected charges to be filed within 2 weeks. Organized retail theft, fraud, filing false police reports for trying to frame me. Each charge carried potential jail time. The detective thanked me for coming forward and said someone from the DA's office would contact me about next steps. Jason and I were eating dinner when his parents showed up unannounced. His dad pounded on the door. Jason opened it and they pushed past him into our living room. His mom started crying immediately. She begged Jason to make me delete the video. She said I was destroying their family, their reputation in the community, Diane's future, everything they built. His dad joined in. He said families stick together no matter what, that airing problems publicly was wrong, that I should have come to them privately instead of humiliating everyone online. Jason stood between them and me. He told them Diane committed crimes. She framed me. She used multiple people as decoys. She stole thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. His mom kept crying. She said Diane made mistakes, but she was still family. She said the video made it impossible for Diane to move on with her life. Every potential employer would see it. Every friend. Everyone she dated. Jason's voice stayed calm but firm. He told them Diane needed to face real consequences for once in her life. That protecting her from accountability never helped her change. That maybe if they'd let her face consequences years ago, she wouldn't be in this situation now. His dad's face turned red. He said if Jason didn't support his sister, he was choosing to destroy his own family. Jason looked his dad straight in the eye. He said he was choosing his wife and his integrity over protecting someone who committed crimes. He said he loved Diane, but he wouldn't lie for her anymore. He wouldn't make excuses. He wouldn't pressure victims to stay quiet. His mom grabbed his arm. She said they'd cut him out of the family if he didn't fix this. No more family dinners. No more holidays together. No inheritance. Nothing. Jason pulled his arm away gently. He told them that was their choice to make. But he wasn't going to enable Diane's behavior anymore just to keep peace. He said real family means holding each other accountable, not covering up crimes. His dad called me names. Said I poisoned Jason against his own blood. Jason opened the front door. He told them to leave. His mom tried one more time. She begged him to think about what he was throwing away. Jason said he already thought about it. He was throwing away a lifetime of making excuses for bad behavior. They left angry. His mom crying. His dad slamming our gate hard enough to break the latch. 2 days later, I found a thick envelope in our mailbox. No return address. Inside was a cease and desist letter from a law firm downtown. It demanded I remove the Facebook video immediately. It claimed I was defaming Diane by sharing false information. It threatened legal action if I didn't comply within 5 business days. My hands shook reading it. Jason read it over my shoulder and got angry. He said his parents probably paid for this. I called my best friend Ebony and told her what happened. She said her cousin practiced law and specialized in this kind of thing. She gave me the number. I called and explained the situation. The lawyer asked me to email her the cease and desist letter and the video. She called back 3 hours later. The lawyer explained that truth is an absolute defense against defamation. The video showed actual events, real security footage, documented theft. Nothing in it was false or misleading. She said Diane's lawyer was trying to intimidate me into silence but had no legal basis. She offered to send a response letter explaining that we wouldn't be removing anything. The video was factual evidence of crimes. Sharing it was protected speech. She said if Diane's lawyer pushed further, we could countersue for harassment. I agreed, and she sent the response letter that afternoon. It stated clearly that the video would stay up, that all content was factual, that any further threats would be met with legal action. I felt relieved having someone explain my rights. Jason said his parents would be furious when they got the response. I told him I didn't care anymore. Target's corporate office called me a week later. They formally banned Diane from all their stores nationwide. Her photo went into their retail theft database. The representative explained that major retailers share security information. Diane's photo and information would go to Walmart, Nordstrom, Macy's, and dozens of other chains. She was banned from most major stores in the country. The representative thanked me again for bringing the pattern to their attention. She said they prevented future thefts by identifying Diane's technique. Other stores were training staff to watch for similar patterns. Multiple shoppers working together. Identical items. Distractions at checkout. My situation helped them protect other customers. The district attorney called me 2 weeks later. She explained they were filing multiple charges against Diane. Organized retail theft carried up to 5 years. Fraud charges added another 3 years possible. Filing a false police report when she tried to frame me meant 2 more years. The DA said with all the evidence and multiple victims, this was serious. Diane could face real jail time if convicted on all counts. I felt relief mixed with something else. Jason's sister might go to prison because I posted that video. The DA assured me I did the right thing. Diane made her choices. She victimized people who trusted her. The law needed to hold her accountable. Jason came home from work looking stressed 3 days later. He sat at the kitchen table without taking off his jacket. His business partner had pulled him aside that morning. Several clients were asking about the video. They recognized Diane from company events where she helped with setup and greeting guests. One client said Diane had complimented her expensive purse at an event last year. Now that client wondered if Diane tried to steal it. Jason had to explain the whole situation professionally. He assured clients the business had nothing to do with his sister's actions. He promised Diane would never be at company events again. Some clients were understanding. Others seemed uncomfortable. Jason worried about losing business because his sister was a criminal. I told him real clients would understand family doesn't define him. He nodded but looked defeated. My phone started blowing up with messages from people I barely knew. Old high school classmates, former coworkers, friends of friends. They all had stories about Diane. One woman said Diane borrowed her designer sunglasses at a pool party 3 years ago and never returned them. Another said Diane asked to try on her engagement ring at a wedding and it came back scratched. Someone else said Diane offered to return something at the mall for her but kept the refund money. The stories kept coming. Small thefts, little scams, borrowed items never returned. Each person thought they were the only one. They felt embarrassed about losing something small. Now they realized Diane had a pattern going back years. She targeted people who trusted her. She took advantage of social situations where confronting her would cause drama. I saved every message. The detective needed to see this pattern of dishonest behavior. I checked Facebook that evening and saw a new post from Braden. He wrote a long statement explaining why he ended the engagement. He thanked everyone for their support during a difficult time. He said discovering the truth about Diane before they married was a blessing. He specifically mentioned being grateful they never had children together. He couldn't imagine co-parenting with someone capable of such calculated dishonesty. The post had hundreds of comments. People shared their own stories about being deceived by partners. Others praised him for having the courage to walk away. Braden responded to several comments with grace and maturity. He seemed genuinely relieved to have escaped. I felt glad he saw the video when he did. Another few months and they would have been married. Another year and there might have been a baby. The timing saved him from a terrible mistake. A fake Facebook account messaged me 2 days later. The profile had no photos and was created that same day. The messages came fast and angry. I was jealous of Diane's beauty and success. I destroyed her life because I was bitter about my own failures. I manipulated everyone with lies and fake evidence. Jason would eventually see through me and leave. The messages kept coming for an hour, increasingly nasty and personal, attacking my appearance, my marriage, my worth as a person. I knew immediately it was Diane. The writing style matched hers. The specific details about family situations only she would know. I took screenshots of every message. I sent them all to the detective handling her case. This was harassment and witness intimidation. Diane was making her legal situation much worse. The detective called me the next morning. She was adding harassment charges to Diane's case. The fake account traced back to Diane's IP address. The threats and intimidation of a witness in a criminal case meant serious additional charges. The detective said she was contacting Diane's lawyer immediately. Any further contact with me or the other victims would result in more charges and possible jail time before trial. The judge could revoke her bail if she kept harassing witnesses. I felt protected knowing law enforcement took this seriously. Diane couldn't manipulate or intimidate her way out anymore. Every bad choice she made now had real consequences stacking up. Jason and I started seeing a therapist the following week. He insisted we needed professional help working through the trust issues. Her name was Joan Butler and she specialized in family therapy. Jason explained how he initially believed Diane over me despite the evidence. He wanted to understand why he defaulted to defending his sister. Joan asked good questions about his childhood, about family dynamics, about patterns of behavior. Jason admitted he always felt responsible for protecting Diane. Their parents expected him to look out for her, to cover for her mistakes, to minimize her problems. He carried that responsibility into adulthood without questioning it. Joan said this was common in families with a troubled child. The stable sibling becomes the fixer, the protector, the excuse maker. It becomes automatic. Jason needed to recognize that pattern before he could change it. In our third therapy session, Jason had a breakthrough. He realized his parents trained him since childhood to protect Diane from consequences. Every time she messed up, they told him to help smooth things over. When she got caught cheating in high school, Jason had to talk to the teacher. When she wrecked their mom's car, Jason helped pay for repairs. When she fought with friends, Jason mediated. He spent his whole life running interference for his sister. That pattern almost destroyed his marriage. I almost got arrested because he was too busy protecting Diane to believe his own wife. Jason got angry during that session. Really angry. At his parents for putting that responsibility on him. At himself for accepting it. At Diane for exploiting it. Joan said the anger was healthy. It meant he was finally seeing the dysfunction clearly. He was choosing his marriage over blind family loyalty. That choice would define his relationships going forward. My best friend Ebony called me excited about throwing a party. She wanted to celebrate me surviving family drama. She invited our close friends over for drinks and appetizers. Everyone who supported me through the whole mess. People who never doubted my story, who shared the video, who sent encouraging messages. The party felt good. We laughed about the absurdity of the situation. Diane trying to frame her own sister-in-law. The security footage showing everything. Her fiancé finding out through Facebook. People joked about checking their purses around Diane, about hiding their jewelry. The humor helped release tension I didn't know I was carrying. Being surrounded by people who believed me from the start reminded me that Jason's initial doubt was abnormal. Real friends don't need evidence to trust you. They know your character. Ebony made a toast thanking me for being brave enough to expose the truth. Everyone raised their glasses. I felt grateful for genuine relationships built on actual trust. A letter arrived from Target's corporate office the next week. It was a formal apology for the distress their security process caused me. They acknowledged that while their staff ultimately helped expose the truth, the initial experience was traumatic. Being accused of theft, having my purse searched, being taken to the security office, they understood how frightening that must have been. The letter included a $500 gift card as a gesture of goodwill. They hoped I would continue shopping at Target. They valued me as a customer and appreciated my patience during the investigation. I showed the letter to Jason. He said corporate was probably worried about a lawsuit. I didn't care about their motivation. The apology felt genuine. The gift card was generous. I decided to use it buying Christmas gifts. At least something good came from the whole nightmare. 3 weeks later, the district attorney called me about Diane's upcoming court date. The other victims wanted to attend the hearings together. A show of support. The prosecutor thought our united front would make the case stronger. I called Jason's cousin first. She agreed immediately. Then the 2 former friends who Diane used as decoys. Both said yes without hesitation. We met at a coffee shop to coordinate. The prosecutor joined us and explained that seeing multiple victims together sent a powerful message to the judge. It showed this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern. A system. The arraignment was scheduled for Thursday morning at 9. We arrived together and sat in the front row behind the prosecutor's table. Diane walked in wearing a navy suit and kept her eyes down. Her lawyer stood next to her looking confident. The judge entered and everyone stood. The charges were read out loud. Organized retail theft, fraud, filing a false police report. Diane's lawyer entered a not guilty plea. Then he started talking about shopping addiction. How Diane needed treatment instead of jail time. How she was sick and needed help. How punishment wouldn't fix the underlying problem. The judge listened without expression. The prosecutor stood and presented the evidence. The security footage. The multiple victims. The systematic pattern over 2 years. The estimated $12,000 in stolen merchandise. Diane's lawyer tried to get the video evidence thrown out. He claimed it violated her privacy. That posting it online tainted the jury pool. The judge denied the request immediately. The video was recorded by store security in a public place. It was factual evidence of crimes. The judge set a trial date for 8 weeks away and set bail at $10,000. Diane's parents posted it that afternoon. We walked out of the courthouse together feeling good about how it went. The prosecutor told us the judge seemed to take this seriously. That was important. Jason's parents showed up at our house that evening without calling first. His mom was crying before she even got through the door. They needed Jason to fix this. To make me drop everything. To convince the other victims to back off. Family was supposed to stick together no matter what. Jason stood in the doorway and didn't invite them inside. His voice was calm but firm. Diane broke the family bond when she victimized people who trusted her. When she tried to frame his wife for crimes she committed. When she manipulated and lied to everyone around her. His dad got angry and said Jason was choosing his wife over his sister. Jason said yes. He was choosing the person who didn't commit crimes over the person who did. He was choosing honesty over enabling. His mom begged him to remember all the times Diane needed him growing up. Jason said he remembered. He also remembered that protecting her from consequences never helped her change. It just made her bolder. They stood on the porch arguing for 20 minutes. Finally, Jason told them he loved them, but this conversation was over. If they wanted a relationship with him, they needed to accept that Diane was facing legal consequences for her actions. He closed the door while his mom was still talking. A local news station called me the next morning. They wanted to interview me about organized retail theft schemes, how family members get used as decoys, how stores are fighting back. I told the reporter I appreciated the coverage but didn't want more attention. The whole situation already felt too public. She understood but said the story was important. Other people needed to know these schemes existed. I agreed with that. I was glad the issue was getting covered even if I wasn't participating. 2 weeks later, the prosecutor called with news. Diane's lawyer contacted him about a plea deal. She wanted to avoid trial, avoid having all her victims testify publicly. She would plead guilty to reduced charges in exchange for probation instead of jail time. The prosecutor wanted to meet with all of us before responding. We gathered in his office on a Tuesday afternoon. He laid out the offer. Diane would plead guilty to organized retail theft and fraud. The false police report charge would be dropped. She would get probation, community service, restitution to all victims and stores, and mandatory therapy. No jail time. The prosecutor said trials were unpredictable. This deal guaranteed consequences and financial restitution. It also saved us the stress of testifying. Jason's cousin spoke first. She wanted Diane to face real consequences. The others agreed. I said I wanted my $1,500 back and I wanted Diane banned from stores. The prosecutor explained the deal included full restitution, and Target already banned her. Other major retailers did too. We talked for an hour about the pros and cons. Finally, we agreed. The plea deal guaranteed she faced consequences and made us whole financially. The stress of a trial wasn't worth the possibility of a slightly harsher sentence. The judge still had to approve everything at the sentencing hearing. The plea hearing was scheduled 3 weeks later. We all attended again, sitting in the same front row. Diane stood before the judge looking smaller somehow. Her lawyer spoke first, explaining the plea agreement. Then the judge asked Diane if she understood what she was pleading guilty to. She said yes, quietly. The judge asked if anyone forced her to take this deal. She said no. Then the judge asked if she wanted to make a statement. Diane turned slightly toward us. Her voice shook, but she spoke clearly. She apologized to her victims. She admitted she had problems with impulse control and dishonesty. She said she knew she hurt people who trusted her. It was the first time she took any real responsibility. No excuses, no blaming others, just acknowledgement of what she did. The judge accepted the plea deal but added conditions. 5 years probation, 200 hours community service, mandatory therapy twice a month. If she violated probation, she would serve the original jail sentence of 2 years. Diane nodded at each condition. The judge made it clear this was her one chance. Any violation meant prison. Then came the restitution order. Diane had to pay me back the $1,500 I spent on her stolen merchandise. She had to pay Target for all the stolen items across multiple stores. She had to pay the other victims for their expenses and emotional distress. The total came to over $15,000 on a payment plan, $200 per month until paid in full. The judge asked if Diane understood. She said yes. The gavel came down, and it was done. Jason and I sat in the courtroom 3 weeks later waiting for the final sentencing. Diane stood at the front in a gray suit that looked borrowed. The judge reviewed the plea agreement one more time, then asked if Diane had anything to say. She turned halfway toward us and spoke about accepting responsibility and getting help. Her voice sounded different from I'd ever heard it. Smaller somehow. The judge sentenced her to 5 years probation with the 200 hours community service and mandatory therapy. Then came the restitution numbers. $15,000 total to be paid back in monthly installments. $200 every month until it was done. The judge made it clear that any violation meant 2 years in prison. No second chances. The gavel came down and guards led Diane out through the side door. Jason sat still for a long moment, staring at where his sister had been standing. Outside the courthouse, he took my hand and we walked to the car in silence. He finally spoke when we were sitting in the parking lot. I feel relieved. Like maybe this will actually help her change. I squeezed his hand and started the engine. That evening, my phone buzzed with a message from Braden. I opened it expecting something about the hearing, but instead found a long text thanking me for posting the video. He said he was dating someone new who was honest and kind. Someone who didn't play games or manipulate people. He wrote that he felt grateful every single day that he saw my video before marrying Diane. He was moving forward with his life and wanted me to know how much my courage to post that footage had saved him from years of misery. I showed Jason the message and he smiled sadly. At least some good came from all this mess. Jason's parents called the next day demanding we come to Sunday dinner to discuss the family situation. Jason declined politely and said we were setting boundaries about future interactions. His mom started crying about losing her son. His dad threatened to cut us out of the will. Jason stayed calm and told them he was at peace, prioritizing our marriage over blind family loyalty. He said they could accept our boundaries or not, but we wouldn't be manipulated anymore. He hung up and looked exhausted but also lighter somehow, like a weight had lifted. We're building our own family culture now. One based on honesty and actual support. His parents didn't call back. The group chat with the other victims stayed active almost daily. We shared updates about the case and vented about dealing with the aftermath. 2 of the women lived nearby, and we started meeting for coffee every couple weeks. Sarah worked as a teacher and had a dry sense of humor that made me laugh. Carmen ran a small bakery and always brought samples to our meetups. We talked about normal life stuff too. Not just Diane. It felt good having friends who understood what I'd been through without needing to explain everything. They got it because they'd lived it too. A month after sentencing, I got a call from Target's corporate investigator. She wanted to meet in person to discuss some changes they were making. I drove to the regional office and she led me to a conference room with training materials spread across the table. She explained they were implementing new protocols for handling shoplifting incidents involving multiple people. Store managers would now be trained to check all parties involved when alarms went off. Security would review footage more carefully before making accusations. The investigator said my case had exposed flaws in their process and they wanted to fix it. She thanked me for pushing back and insisting they check everything. If I hadn't stood my ground that day, I would have been arrested, and Diane would have walked away clean. The changes might prevent someone else from going through what I did. Jason surprised me the following weekend with a trip to a cabin in the mountains. No cell service, no family drama, just us. We hiked during the day and sat by the fireplace at night talking about everything that had happened. He apologized again for not believing me immediately when Diane first accused me. He explained how his parents had trained him since childhood to protect his sister from consequences, how they made him feel responsible for her happiness. He saw now how toxic that pattern had been. We talked about building our own family culture separate from his parents, one based on actually believing each other and having each other's backs. We discussed boundaries we needed to set, and what our marriage would look like going forward. By the end of the weekend, we both felt reconnected and stronger, like we'd survived something together and come out better for it. 6 months passed quickly. Diane completed 80 hours of her community service picking up trash along highways and working at food banks. She attended therapy twice a month like the judge ordered. Then one afternoon, a letter arrived at our house with her handwriting on the envelope. I opened it carefully, expecting more manipulation or excuses. Instead, I found 3 pages of genuine apology. She took full responsibility for everything she'd done. She explained she was working with her therapist on understanding why she felt entitled to steal and lie. She acknowledged how she'd used people who trusted her and hurt them badly. She said she understood if I never wanted to see her again, but she wanted me to know she was truly sorry. The letter sounded different from anything she'd ever said before. Real. Jason read it twice, then set it down on the kitchen table. What do you think? I think she's finally getting actual help, but I'm not ready to have her back in our lives yet. Jason nodded. Me neither. Forgiveness doesn't mean going back to old patterns. Jason's business started thriving in ways it hadn't before. Rajesh mentioned during a meeting how focused and confident Jason seemed lately, how clients responded better to him now. Jason told me later that not being distracted by family drama made everything easier. He wasn't constantly worried about Diane's next crisis, or his parents demanding he fix things. He could focus on building the company and serving clients well. His reputation improved because he wasn't associated with Diane's chaos anymore. New contracts came in, revenue increased. He felt proud of what he was building. A year after everything happened, Jason and I were sitting on our back porch watching the sunset. We'd just gotten back from dinner celebrating our anniversary. He turned to me and said he was grateful for how strong our marriage had become. We'd built something based on actually believing each other and supporting each other through hard things. We weren't perfect, but we were honest. We had each other's backs. We'd created our own family culture separate from his parents' dysfunction. I leaned against his shoulder and felt genuinely happy. Excited about our future together. Excited about building a life without the constant weight of his family's problems dragging us down. We'd survived something that could have destroyed us, and instead it made us stronger.